My name is Eva Steve. I'm from Group 17. I'm going to talk about the introduction of the industrial relation system. The industrial relation is the interaction between workers' working group and their representative organization. Meanwhile, the industrial relation system consists of the actor, such as the union and its associate, the sense in which they, they administer a body of rule that bind them in a workplace and a legal system in which they are bound together in a wider setting. Therefore, industrial relations are considered to be the relationship between the individual, namely the employer, and the employees who work in the industry. The IR term is commonly used to refer the individual who engage in manufacture of product and services, whether in the factory, in the commercial or public service sector, or large-scale agricultural job. Papua New Guinea was selected in this study. The industrial relation system of Papua New Guinea was compared with Malaysia's industrial system. This study provides an overview and development of the IR structure in Papua New Guinea that was categorized into three key parts, which is the political system, economic system, and cultural system. Next, I want to talk about the history of industrial relations in Papua New Guinea. Coherently, the Russian Revolution 1917 and the creation of International Labour Organization (ILO) in 1919 as extraordinary development that had a radical impact on most countries' industrial relations. As for the pattern of social change, with, with its effect on national, political, and industrial revolution, the advent of the labor movement can affect the industrial relation system of a country. According to Top Pisin English Dictionary, an industrial relation system was implemented in 1960s and was modeled from the Australian system. Between 1963 and independence of Papua New Guinea in 1975, 47 unions were registered under Industrial Organization Ordinance were very small and mainly focused regionally. This union was registered with the Department of Labor and Employment. In 1975, when Papua New Guinea became independent, the Russian they inherited their former colonial rule, which is the Russian regime of mandatory conciliation and arbitration. Input from the employer and employees, organization, and administration was required by the system, and it coordinate the employer, organization, and administration, but most of the workers are not.
Hello sir, my name is Sumiana Dawu, metric number 67838. So as our group has chosen Papua New Guinea in this study, I will present on how does its political system affects its IR system. Firstly is through labor legislations in which it will organize and shapes and legislations on IR systems. It governs the workplace through parliaments by creating substantive regulations on such things like wages, working hours, and so on that may include the employer and employee as well as the government. Papua New Guinea is an exception to a legislative and political systems that provide for a pluralist atmosphere that to facilitate the existence of trade unions, collective bargainings, and support workers' right to strike. The Industrial Organizations Act and IR Act are the greatest influence on IR systems in Papua New Guinea. The Industrial Organizations Act encourage employers to create their own unions, while the IR Act encourages mechanisms and direct bargaining as well as compulsory conciliations and arbitrations to exist. In Malaysia, IR systems also influenced by policies and legislations that set by the governments. As Malaysia is modeled after the British systems as democracy, there are also laws provide for trade unions and collective bargaining, such as Trade Union Act 1959 and IR Act 1967. Secondly is through political parties. It will influence the IR system in which it helps the employee in order to promoting employee involvements and assistance. In Papua New Guinea, the organizations of political parties is comparatively weak. Some of the parties have an organization structure based on the party branch, which are effectively political coalitions and governed by leading political representatives. In Malaysia, there are many political parties such as PN, PH, UMNO, and so on. For instance, MTUC, the issue on unions participants in politics have been repeatedly debated but defeated. So, the MTUC creating a manifesto outlining criteria for enduring parties, thereby avoiding being ideologically related. Thirdly is through labor and ruling parties, in which it can provide industrial system for the freedom to move based on the ruling set by the ruling party. Papua New Guinea has a pluralist legislative and democratic system in which recognition of collective labor rights is rooted in the fundamental rules of IR, but the role of the state is limited to a private trade facilitator. While in Malaysia there are unbreachable distinctions between political parties and labor movements, it is to open trade union movements to the capitalist systems are related to effort in undermining control by suppressing and limiting the capacity to unite and mobilize. So we conclude that Papua New Guinea and Malaysia has the same way of influence by political systems. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and hi. My name is Fauzan Haziq Bemais. My metric number is 68375. So today I will present about how does the economic system in Papua New Guinea affect its IR system. So according to the Global S 2020, Papua New Guinea has a mixed economy in which lack of market economy. There has three types of economy. First, mineral resources. Employee safety must be emphasized in the mineral resources because it has a high risk and unsafe working condition. Minor mistake also can injure the employees. In 1989, many properties has been destroyed during the notorious dispute or strike, which all the venue for the compromise were exhausted, according to Imbun 1999. Meanwhile, in Malaysia, efficient management enabled them to deal with the problem and affect the IR system. Second, Papua New Guinea produce and export agriculture, timber, and fish products. 25% of the Papua New Guinea GDP are currently contributed by the agriculture sector and support more than 80% of the population. Papua New Guinea is the largest yam in Asia. According to the Department of Statistics Malaysia 2019, all palm was a major contributor to GDP of agriculture sector in 2018 at 37.9%. The effect is a major defensive emerges is the lack of attention to industrial relation in the management of the enterprise. They are not to care about the agriculture, timber, and fish because the production is in a small size. The last one, industry. According to Global Tender.com 2020, Papua New Guinea economy is highly dependent to import for manufactured goods in the and contribute little to export. The small domestic market, high transport, relative high wage costs are constrained to industrial development. The effect is government interference in the private sector and weak and inefficient government institution capacity make running a business expensive. According to NuTrade.com 2020, as the regard of today's base, Malaysia export to SD 39.5 billion worth of the service and import to USD 42.5 billion. Malaysia is more to import and export country. Effect effect of IR system in Papua New Guinea is there is more weak than Malaysia. Thank you. That's all from me.
Hello sir, I'm Lee Jali and I'm going to present about the cultural system that affect the industrial relations system in Papua New Guinea. Cultural system is divided into two categories, which is individualism and collectivism. Based on the finding, cultural system in Papua New Guinea is more to collectivism, which is collectivist society. Firstly, a cooperatism character is important to industrial relations system. Is aimed to maintain the order and encouraging the productivity and thus to make the development partner for the union. Cooperatism that practiced in Papua New Guinea will affect the industrial relation, but the enthusiasm of practicing a good cooperatism in Papua New Guinea is still weak. Meanwhile, for the Malaysia that implemented of cooperatism are named as Mahathir's cooperatism. Mahathir cooperatism will affect the industrial relation by focusing on Mahathir's industrialization project and strengthening the Malay business. Besides, the notion of reciprocity will also affect the IR system. Reciprocity is very emphasizing on the workers' behavioral quality and is affecting the industrial relation through the transaction of labor, which involving the give of exchange between employer and employees. This method is very efficiency as the behavior of the worker will improve through the paying of efficiency wages, which the wages of workers will be increased according to the improvement in job performance. Lastly, the diverse ethnic also be a cultural system that affect industrial relation is in Papua New Guinea. According to IMBU 1999, there is an unbalanced representation of ethnic groups in Oketedimai, Papua New Guinea. The happen of unbalanced representation is caused by most of the employees at mine are higher from the preferred areas such as Western and West Sepik. This has caused the phenomenon of disadvantaged group, which the workers who origin from the others area did not get an equality to be offered and job. However, diversity of ethnic in Malaysia that affect the industrial relation is by having the diversity of worker to work at the workplace. Employees in public sector are mostly dominated by Bumiputra workers compared to the private sector is more to employ non-Bumiputra workers. That's all from me. Thank you.
From the findings can be concluded that political system in Papua New Guinea and Malaysia are differing in political parties and labor and ruling parties, but much similar in labor legislation that was influenced by the policies and legislation that apply as set by the government. Meanwhile, in economic system, both Malaysia and Papua New Guinea has their own sources. Papua New Guinea were highly dependent on import of manufacturing goods, and in Malaysia they import and export goods as well. In cultural system, both Malaysia has diverse ethnic, where in Papua New Guinea, the manual job were given to the workers in the preferred area, but in Malaysia, public sector was was offered to the Bumiputra and private sector most likely to employed by non-Bumiputras.